allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do the bus. You really want me to do that?
You didn't say it. He's still seated. Okay, roll call, Carla.
Robert Mueller. Dina Kreitler.
Here.
Jan Braun.
Here.
Sarah Menard. Mary Beth Ferguson. Kelly Fowler. Laura Oliver. Kathleen Walls.
Here.
Beth Caldwell.
Here.
We do not have a quorum.
That's why.
Just love a work session.
What's like?
No.
Okay, so that means we can't do approval of the agenda or minutes. So, any citizens to be heard? Nope. Sandra?
Moving right along. Okay, I'll make this brief. I'm going to pass this around. This is a tour book put out by National Geographic that talks about locations in the United States where you can feel like you're abroad even though you're at home. 600 best international travel experiences that you can have in North America. And St. Genevieve is listed on page 138. St. Genevieve, Missouri, French Valley Panache.
All right.
And so I'll pass that along since we just had our French festival. This is the Show Me Missouri magazine for summer 2015, and I marked our branding ad. Hello. And then they also picked up on two of our events, one being the French festival and one being the Jour de Fête.
Oh.
So I'm going to pass that one around that way. And
Do I need to stop her? Okay, Sandra, since we do have a quorum now that
oh,
Mary
okay,
Beth
back up.
came in, we're gonna back up.
Okay.
real
Yeah,
quick.
let's back up.
Does she have a copy of?
No, we'll get that sign.
Nothing like making a grand entrance there.
I was home cooking.
Jan,
This
your
does it
restaurant.
then, right?
Really?
Did you know that?
No.
Yes. Where to eat in
Really?
St. Genevieve.
Okay, so since we have a quorum now, we're gonna go ahead and do approval of the agenda.
If there aren't any changes or amendments to the agenda, I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
Kathleen, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The minutes from the previous meeting of May 15th was in the packet. If there are no additions or corrections,
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Kathy?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We still have no citizens to be heard, so you can continue now.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. Here is the report. And-
Oh, good. I was going to ask if you got my time.
And pretty stuff. Okay, so starting with statistics, in the month of May, we had 2,391 guests through the Welcome Center, and that was down about 8% compared to last year's May. You can see on the pretty chart that we had a really high spike in May of last year. And on the year, we're still up 10% overall year to date, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there. So I'm not really alarmed about May. We just had a super strong May last year. We are also up, we're up in May in terms of our group visitors for adult groups. So that was good. In May, we sold 184 adult passports and 120 students. That was up a little bit on the adult passports and down slightly on the student passports. April was a really strong month in student passports in 2015. And so I feel like maybe some of the schools were scheduling their field trips earlier in the year. We hosted a group of 5 travel writers for what I would call a whirlwind tour as part of a Missouri Division of Tourism sponsored media tour along the Great River Road. They saw Hannibal on one day. They spent a whole day in Hannibal, and then they went to Cape Girardeau in the morning, had lunch there, and came to St. Genevieve in the afternoon. And they were almost an hour behind schedule coming into St. Genevieve, so we had to really pack everything in. They couldn't even see all the things that we had hoped to be able to whiz past them while they were here. And then they went back up to St. Louis because they were staying in St. Louis. But we were glad to have them. They were all very engaged and charmed by St. Genevieve. 2 of them were travel writers who freelance for AAA magazine and some other large publications like that, and then 3 others were more for independent publications, one from the Chicago area, so I think that could be good for us. We shall see. Sometimes those take a while to come to fruition. Like, who knows when this person came here, to actually review us for this, but it's been some time for that. So there could be opportunities like that. New media activity. How many people saw the announcement on Facebook over the weekend about Country Living magazine choosing 50 places across the United States, and the place that they chose in Missouri was St. Genevieve. It's one in each state, so that's really exciting.
That is House Beautiful. Yeah, House Beautiful.
Oh, I thought it was Country Living.
Maybe there's 2 of them.
Well, it could be owned by the same.
Yeah.
That would be interesting if it was House Beautiful in addition to Country Living. I haven't seen either of the magazines. I've only seen the online coverage.
So we're in the best small towns category of the 50 most beautiful small towns in America. Then you go to click on it, it says best small town.
So they chose one in each state, which is kind of cool. Of all the neat small towns in the state of Missouri, that they chose us.
And who was it that named us 3rd most desirable place to retire in Missouri, St. Genevieve?
Yes.
I forget who that was.
Yeah, I know.
We get so many compliments, we forget where they come from. That was just recently, too.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
Last week.
Last week.
Yeah, I'll have to look at my
Yeah.
computer.
We just concluded a very successful French Heritage Festival. We were talking about that a little bit before the start of the meeting. I just included some of the details here. They expanded the number of locations, and they hosted the evening musical event at the Valley Desert. There is a post-event recap that's planned. In general, I've gotten positive feedback from most of the merchants and most of the historic houses. I know that the Bolduc hosted a group from the French organization in St. Louis called Les Amis. They came down and had a luncheon at the Bolduc, catered by Station 2. And then they took in some of the activities. They were pretty well confined to the Bolduc campus, I think. And then, so I know they had to have, their numbers had to be higher than they were the previous year because they did not host a large group like that. And I mean, large group. They actually held it at the John Baptiste Ballet House, Bernie Schramm's house, and it was about 50 people for the luncheon. So I'm sure that they were in tight quarters in that small of a space with tables and settings. But we also had a group here from Kansas City for the French Heritage Festival. They came in on Friday, did a passport tour with a step-on guide, spent the night at the Microtel, and then they did the French Festival on Saturday. So,
They
That's the
also
kind of thing.
did summer music series on Friday.
oh, they did?
They did, yeah. I had like 25 or 30 of them walk in off the street and
You're
get
like,
tickets.
ooh,
Yeah.
pull out some chairs.
It was amazing. They loved it.
Did that was a Wines to Vines tour, wasn't it, on Friday?
No.
Or
no.
Saturday, I'm sorry.
They were in town too, but this one from Kansas City.
Kansas City, that was not the same group? Okay.
No.
The people that I talked to from Kansas City did not know there was anything going on in town at all.
They must have been different people, because these people came to the Welcome Center and they were given a list of all the activities with the French Heritage
These were the
Festival.
people staying at the Microtel,
Yeah,
and several of them were in my store about the time people were starting to go up to the church steps to get in position to start. And this lady said, "What is that? Why is that person walking around dressed like a mime?" for example. And so I thought, I wonder why they don't know about this. So I told them everything I could in 3 minutes or less, and then I told them to go and sit on the benches at the courthouse and go and sit in front of Monia's and the steps at the Candle Corner and all that for the parade to go by. And that was the people who were clapping when you went by and all
Yeah.
that.
well, then
They were
must
from
have-
Kansas City, and they were totally didn't know anything was going on, so I don't know what happened.
One of two things could have happened. Either there was another group from Kansas City by coincidence, or they just weren't listening when their tour guide and our tour guides
There would have been
explained
a
everything
lot
to
of them, though, but, oh
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
there was 2 groups from Kansas City that was at the Microtel though. Because
Really?
Yes, because when they came into the Oris on Friday night, I had said, "Oh, well, where are you from?" And they said, "Kansas City." And I said, "Oh, well, you're the second group from Kansas City." They said, "Yes, we're here for the French Festival." So that was
So
the
there
group.
could have been a completely different group.
Yeah, these people had Oasis badges on. You know, the Oasis Seniors Group badge.
Yes.
Who was the entertainment body?
Power play.
You had a room.
Yeah, but we actually had a really good crowd before they even walked in. So we did really well in that show this year.
25 in off the street, that's nice.
Yeah, believe me, I couldn't, my credit card machine wouldn't work too, so it was just a nightmare
Well, I
because,
mean, if they showed up for
yeah,
Johnny Cash or Elvis, you'd have to turn them away.
yeah. Well, I wouldn't have done that. I would have made room somehow or another. Especially if they were from Kansas City, but anywhere, yeah.
So, I mean, talk
Okay.
about a fluke, 2
Yeah,
groups from
really.
Kansas City. Because I was like, they would have had to have really not been paying attention and not have absorbed that, because we actually showed them the video, I spoke to them, they had a walking guide, a step-on guide, and I gave them all copies of the French Festival flyer, so it would have been really hard to not know what was
So
going
it
on.
had to be the other group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to. And the other group, I think, was only like maybe 15 people. I think it was 15 people. was what-
Yeah, the larger one was, I think 28 plus their coordinator and their driver.
Yeah, because the guy that came in, he said, "You have all of us but 4." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's great."
Yeah, that
So
sounds about
that's,
right.
yeah, that would make sense.
They were very nice.
They were very nice.
And as I was saying, Mary Beth, before you came in, we had the highest number ever for the street dance Saturday night, despite the fact that all of the Fowlerts and their friends were at a
Yeah.
wedding on Saturday night, which, usually counts for a big portion of
Yeah,
people.
right.
We had the highest group count ever, and a lot of people, a lot of the local people that were there brought their lawn chairs, but just like they do for the Muni Band. So, they were kind of doing that routine. The Valley
So it
Fork.
worked out really good up there then?
I think it did.
Yeah.
I think it
More,
did.
more room to dance and,
Well, there's that, and I think people are just used to coming to listen to music there for the Muni Band, so, they kind of get it. They're like, oh, the
That's
music at the
good.
Valley does. I don't know, but it worked out very well. So, task forces, so the Transportation Task Force is going to have a conference call with the Southeast Missouri Transportation Service on the 22nd. River Beautification Committee held their first meeting, that's the ferry landing beautification group, held their first kind of a formative meeting and talked about some of the activities that had gone on before, and now where we stand with things, and what might want to be done moving forward. And then the levee/wildlife group met with the Fish and Wildlife Service. And today still sort of feels like Monday, but on Sunday after the French Festival, we always have the Audubon Bird Walk at 7 a.m. the next morning for any hardy souls who are able to scrape themselves
Were
together.
you leading that, Sandra?
Well, I don't lead it. Tom
Okay.
Sexar leads it. He's
Okay.
our John James Audubon, and he knows all the birds by sight and call and so on. So what I was about to say is that the meeting that we had with the Fish and Wildlife Service put us in touch with their rep who works across the river in Illinois at the regional field office. And he came over with about a dozen pairs of big binoculars
Oh, right.
and a spotting scope, which was the coolest thing ever. So there were about 12 people, and that's a big crowd for a 7 a.m. Audubon bird walk, let me tell you. So we went out to Division Street, we parked at the base of the levee, we walked up there and back, and we probably did about a 2.5 hour just walk for a while and stop and set up the spotting scope and look.
Wow.
And it was very rewarding for the birders in the crowd because they saw an indigo bunting, and he just sat on this piece of grass, as beautiful as he or she, I guess, and they put the spotting scope, and everybody in the group got to watch the indigo bunting, which is, for a birder, that's something they can check off on their list. Red-tailed hawks, all kind of things. So it was a good thing. It was a good time. And John Carroll was on it, and he was actively supporting our cause with with the Fish and Wildlife people that were there, and also there was a guy there from Perryville who works for, I guess, the State Conservation Service. I think he's a wildlife biologist.
So who were the people who showed up at 7 to take the birding tour? Were they
A mix. There were
local people?
a couple of local people that did it last year and did it again this year. There were several people who were in for the festival and had spent the night somewhere. And then the Fish and Wildlife guy, the guy from Perryville, that's, I think he's I'm not sure if he's a tree guy or a wildlife guy,
Okay.
but one of those guys.
How would
And
you
his-
define our cause that John was promoting?
Talking about the wildlife refuge. The idea of, making it so that people would be able to know what was out there on the outside of the levee in terms of the borrow pit and so on.
Essentially, it's doing phase 4 of the levy plan.
Yeah, I mean, we've had.
Scaled down, yeah, and so,
And we talked about a lot of things. I was just kind of curious as to what John was, which of all the
Just
things we talked
networking.
about,
Yeah.
how focused are we on a plan?
Bringing the right partners together, and I think involving this gentleman from the Fish and Wildlife Service office after we had met with his
Co-worker.
Right, right.
So he's recruiting these resources.
Yes.
That will help formulate
That sounds
a viable
very good.
plan.
Well, and it gave us an opportunity for a living example, to walk on the levee and see birds and have, professional interpretation. Now, not that that would always happen, but we could do it once a quarter and form our own chapter of the Audubon Society here or something. That would be pretty cool. In fact, that very thing was discussed. So, I think that covers that. Or I might have been supposed to cover that later. I think that concludes my report.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move on to old business then. Shop owners tour, I'm not real sure who's supposed to be reporting on that.
It would be me.
Okay.
So we have proposed a date of Wednesday, June 24th, and I'm trying to coordinate this with the St. Genevieve Downtown Renewal Project since, it would be kind of a hand-in-hand kind of a thing. But the idea would be to ask the shops if they would like to stay open, not stay open, but actually open when the tour gets there. We thought about starting about 4 in the afternoon and maybe go till 7 and just be like a roving shop tour to go to each shop and see, what people have so that they can, talk to people, oh, well, if you don't have this over here, you might have it over there. We've had several new shops, and even the shops that have been around for years have added things, so shop owners don't very often get to get out of their shops when other people are open. So that was the idea. It was one of the things that we had talked about, trying to set that up. Because some of the existing shop owners, and really even I think the bed and breakfasts might like to see it too. I mean, you might like to be able to say that you know exactly what's in all the shops. And I'm sure people are aware, well, I hope people are aware, we have several new shops opening, especially on North Main. Cotton Candy had their soft opening 2 weekends ago, and Whatnots and Oddities had their soft opening last weekend. And there are a couple more in the works too, so this is good. So we've got, obviously we have some that are closing their doors. We have new ones who are stepping in to fill the void, and that's always good to have some fresh faces, I think.
So can anyone go on the shop tour other than, like, say if this committee wanted, like, to go?
Oh,
or-
yeah, I think it would be a good idea.
Okay.
I mean, why not, right? Especially on this committee, but I think, yeah.
Okay.
Does 4 o'clock work?
Well, some of the shops close at 4.
Not bad.
So, I mean, I have the email all compiled with the details. I just haven't hit the send button until I hear back from Kara Burt. But, I mean, we could wait until after 5, but since some of them close at 4 anyway, I thought, well, it wouldn't be too hard. If somebody was going to close at 5 and they wanted to see the shop, at 4, they could just put a little, sorry, I closed early today. So,
Okay. Moving on to discussion on
I
initiatives.
think I covered that during my tourism.
All 3 of them?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other old business needs to be discussed? Okay.
Mayor,
Oh, Jan?
Can you update us a little bit about the SMTS memo you sent us?
Yes, so that committee's actually going to have a conference call with the regional director for SMTS, but SMTS has agreed to offer sort of like a chartered transportation service between downtown and the wineries. So if someone is, spending the night and they want to go out to the wineries the next day, they'll be able to call that. It won't be a free service, they'll still have to pay for it.
Oh, sure.
But they'll be able to call and make arrangements for that. So that'll be a good thing. I mean, we have people all the time who, they're a little bit hesitant about driving out there and the roads, and so they...
And then drinking and driving back.
Right.
Yeah.
So they don't always stay the night, and if we can encourage them to extend their stay and, take in more of our regional sites, that would be a good thing.
Well, our guests would use it, even though they are spending the night, because like you said,
There's not always somebody that wants to be the designated driver, right? And it's going to be a safe way for everybody to be able to go and drink and safely get back, yeah.
Will that service be available to those who are not guests, though, to our town? Like
Locals.
Stuff their logo is anyone can ride.
I think that, and who knows, if they're elderly, they might not even have to pay out. Strike that was the record.
Well, when we talk to people about providing such a service, it's always kind of been a problem, just the economics of it. Number one, you need a certain number of people to justify making the trip. And number two, a lot of them, the groups want to go here, 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 and here, and they can't tell you how long they're going to be here, and how long they're going to be there, and how long they're going to be there. So it seems like it's got some logistical issues that need to be resolved. And maybe prescribe what winery experience you're going to have and fix the times so they can have a little bit better planning opportunity.
So we're leaving the logistical issues up to SMTS, it's their drivers, their insurance, their vehicles, and so on. But I did discuss that point with them, because at one point I had gotten, proposals from area bus companies to say, what if there was a shuttle? And pretty quickly you figure out that you can't go to very many places in a certain window of time, and it has to be prescribed, as you said. So.
Well, you can do it both ways though, and just have a higher rate for the non-prescribed tour.
Right, so if you
So
did a
basically, you're
custom
chartering the
tour.
darn bus.
Right, right.
And you drive the schedule, the guest drives the schedule. People would pay more for that.
And there are private services that you can contract with, if they're not already busy, to do a custom tour also.
Okay. Anything else on old business? Okay, well, we'll move on to the new business and upcoming events.
So just in general, the current list of upcoming events and festivals goes through the 4th of July. So we've sent the next list of July through the end of the year out to be formatted and printed. So we should have that back by the end of the month and be able to be moving forward on our upcoming events.
Okay. I have a little bit of an update for the 4th of July celebration. Bob and I have been working on this to confirm all of our festivities for the day. So starting at noon on 3rd Street at the Courthouse Square, we will start with the ringing of the church bells for 3 minutes, all at noon. This will all take place at noon. We have the posting of the colors, a Pledge of Allegiance, Star Spangled Banner sung by Abby Fisher, and then John Carroll will be reading the Declaration of Independence. I have this all ready for you guys. I can email it when I get back to the office tomorrow. So we also have the VFW, the Civil War, and the militia doing a firing salute, and then a small speech by the mayor as well as Kevin Engler will be our speaker. And then Stormy Bennett will be doing Armed Forces Medley after their speech concludes. And then, of
Let me
course...
just say, that was so neat
Isn't
last
it?
year. Yeah, it really is a very neat thing to go see. If you haven't seen it yet, you should.
The whole thing, or the
Yes.
Stormy part?
All of it, the whole
It was
thing by
nice.
the courthouse. It's really, it's something special, yeah.
Yeah, and last year we didn't have as big of a group as we thought we would, but I think now that we have enough time to get it out, and it's going to be in obviously the newspaper and it's on Facebook and everywhere else, people are seeing it, and those who drove by last year stopped and then what they were doing and then came over and joined us. So it is a really nice touch, and so we're happy to do it again this year. We will commence at dusk at Pierre Marquette Park. We will be shooting fireworks from Yanks South Field, which is not the big Yanks Field, but the smaller one on the other side. And then, of course, the Muni Band will be performing at 7:30 on the soccer field in the park. So, obviously, the chamber is solely in charge of fireworks, so any donations are definitely appreciated for that, because we could not do it without the support of our businesses. But we're very excited I think we're going on like 47th or 48th year that the chamber's been doing fireworks in St. Genevieve, so that's a pretty long time.
So is Yanks South a different location? Did you change it, or has it always been there?
We used to always be on Yanks North Field, which is the big field, but they always have a baseball tournament the very next day. So in case of bad weather, and if we would happen to rut up the field, we would have to be out there, that night fixing it, or early that morning. So just to alleviate any problems, we just started using Yanks South Field 2 years ago. This will be our 3rd year on that field. Plus, it also alleviates any of the fly ash that comes down.
I wondered about that, yeah.
So we're on this side of the ball field, so we don't really hit anybody that's on the hillside over here. So, not that it was ever been that big of an issue, but it could be. I think we only had one haywire firework last year, kind of like went off where it wasn't supposed to. But other than that, it's, the same company. We've been using the same company for 30-plus years, and they know what they're doing, so.
And the Muni Band plays at the soccer field?
They, not always, that's new this year.
I
They're
thought that was
moving.
new. I missed it last year, so I thought maybe they did that last year.
We talked at a meeting about, it's kind of, we understand that they want to keep the field looking nice, but it's hard for people to go from the desert up to the fireworks. You kind of want to do it all at the same place.
Right.
So someone suggested the soccer field facing the hill up to where the city pool used to be, and that way it's similar to the ball field. The spectators are still sitting above the band who's playing up to them.
Right.
And if they want to stay there or just walk over, you just be able to see fireworks from either place.
Right.
So.
And last year it was a little hard to hear down on the, when they were down on the ball field.
They weren't on the ball field last year. They were at the Valley Desert
Oh, that was the year before.
year before. Oh, yeah, that was. See, I've been doing it so long, I don't even know what year it was. So.
Yeah, it was the year before then.
Mhm.
And they were down on the ball field, and it was a little hard to hear them.
Yeah.
So that'd be nice.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really nice. So, weather, depending on weather, we don't cancel unless it's a torrential downpour. A small light shower, it will not stop us. But if it's just comes down, we have to light it up. If it's already in the chute, it's got to go, or else we lose it. And if we haven't even started, then we can postpone it to the next day. So. But it's not going to rain. It's going to rain all this week and all this month probably, and the next month it's going to be dry. So that's what I have for 4th of July. Any other events coming up?
Well, there's going to be a 4th Friday art walk, and in the July 4th Friday art walk, I've invited Bonnie Stepanoff, who just finished another new book, to come and do a presentation about it, talk about it, and do a book signing at the Welcome Center, just to have something to do at the Welcome Center as part of Art Walk. I mean, we do okay, we don't have anything going on, but I hate to, have it open with only just 5 people going through, so try to draw people down that way.
Okay. And we're in our 3rd week of summer music series, so if you haven't had a chance to get down there for that, this week is Vocal Edge, all-male a cappella group, so I'm pretty excited to hear them. And then I will tell you, if you are looking for dueling piano tickets or Bob Cuban tickets, you probably need to get to our office this week because they're just about sold out. So tickets are going really well.
If you tell her you came from Kansas City, she'll find
That's
out.
right.
I did say that, didn't I?
I need
Yes.
to come down and help you sell tickets sometime, unless you have all your spots filled for that.
I could certainly use some openings, that's fine. Okay, no other events, we'll move on to the election of chairperson and vice chair. Currently, Bob Mueller is the chairperson for the TAC, and I'm the vice chair. So I guess our terms are up, and I guess we just need to open that up for nominations from the floor.
Question,
Yes?
with as many people not in attendance tonight, do you think we might ought to put this off? In fairness to the other
Depends on
ones?
who you're going to nominate.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the other way to go. We got a big pool of
That happened at
nominees
Rotary
available.
today.
Well, I tend to agree with you that there's hardly anybody here to, yeah, it's their fault, but I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
mean,
it is what
they've
it
all
is.
known that the June meeting is election of officers or election of chair,
Maybe
but
that's why they're not here.
that might be, I don't know. We do have a quorum, so we can do it, or we can make a motion to postpone it till next month, if you'd like.
Your call.
It doesn't make me any difference, to be honest with you.
On one hand, I'd like to just get it done, but on the other hand, like Jan said, there's not very many of us here, so.
I wasn't really stating my own personal opinion, I just thought I'd bring it up for discussion.
Yeah.
I'd make a suggestion, maybe as an alternative, that if we would decide not to do the election of officers tonight, that we schedule a special meeting a week from tonight, and instead of waiting another month, so that we wouldn't be going into our new year not with new officers, or officers, period.
Is that a motion?
Because if they're expired, it's expired.
Well, we couldn't do it before you formally make that. We can't do it in the evening because they have a board meeting next week.
Who does?
Are you talking about next Thursday? Did you say next Thursday, or did I just hear Thursday?
No, just
Tuesday.
Oh, I thought she said Thursday.
Oh.
So that's why I was looking like it.
That's because I have gum in my mouth, all right? You
Sorry.
made me say it.
Okay, well, Thursday.
Is that a motion, Kathy?
Yes.
I would second that.
I make that in the form of a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to postpone election of officers until the 23rd.
At 5:30?
Yes.
Kathy, is there a second? Jan? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And if we have a scant turnout next week, we should proceed
Yeah.
with the election of officers, and all the people who aren't here get appointed to be something.
Should we have...
Heads of committee.
Is that a
Should we
motion?
ask,
Yes.
should we ask Carla to send out an email to that effect and say that, listen,
Yes.
we're having a special board meeting to do election of officers? Okay. Okay. Any committee reports? No? Any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Kathy?
Second.
Jan? All those in favor?
Oh,